Hey guys, I'm Heather Gardner for Press Pass LA here at Paley Fest 2016. Today we are talking to the entire cast of the Emmy-nominated show Better Call Saul. When you create these crazy characters that you guys have created that are so lovable and so well received, do you guys draw inspiration from people in your own lives?
Oh, good question. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Are you?
Tell me you don't know any meth dealers, really?
No, not. Yeah, well, you know what? Walter White, before he became Heisenberg, before he became interesting, back in the earliest days, back in the first episode or the first half of the first episode of Breaking Bad, he was probably as much like me as anybody else.
Really?
Because he was just sort of a kind of a bland middle-aged guy who followed the rules.
You're not giving yourself a lot of credit here.
Well, I'm not that interesting. Luckily, I'm able to write characters who are interesting, and it's made my life very comfortable. But I think when I created the character Walter White, I just turned 40 years old, or I was about to, I think, technically, and I was thinking long and hard about what it is to be middle-aged. And the sad thing about middle age is it's when you finally realize, wait a minute, it's very, very possible, if not likely, that I've got less time ahead of me than I have behind me. What does that mean? And then you start to contemplate that. You think very long and hard about that. It's probably healthier if you don't, but in a lot of cases you do. And I think I was contemplating, what if I'd taken a different path in my life? What if I had done things differently? And the extreme of that as a writer, you always take things to an extreme as a writer. The extreme is, what if I'd been a criminal? What if I had... And the interesting thing about being a criminal to a writer, and in fact to most people, is not the desire to break the law, not the desire to hurt people, but I think it is the desire to have, and I have to word this very carefully, the courage to step outside the lines of safety. Doesn't mean it's always I'm not saying it's a good thing to be a criminal, but the one thing I respect about a certain breed of criminal, like Walter White, is he's got the courage to live his life differently, and live his life in a way that other people say is wrong. In fact, it is wrong, but there's something ballsy about saying, I'm going to do things my way. And as someone who has never really been that person, I found him fascinating. So in a weird way, in the earliest days, he was kind of based a little on me, but when he became interesting, less so. But how about you?
Well, you know, this is almost the same answer in some ways, because it's not so much that Jimmy McGill or Saul Goodman is based on someone I know. I wish that I could always come up with the right thing to say in every situation. I wish that I could always find a shortcut, and that and you know, sometimes, you know, the shortcuts. I know we shouldn't be taking shortcuts, but it would be wonderful to not feel so tamped down that you wouldn't even dare to. There's a big difference between being good because you're scared of the consequences and being good because you're essentially good. And to be honest with you, I think I'm more good because I'm scared of the consequences. And in some ways these characters, I think for us, are kind of experiments with trying to figure out what would it be like to be this other person? What would it be like to have this ability to sweet talk anybody? Boy, that would be great. Yeah. I don't have it.
For more events like this, make sure you visit PressPassLA.com. I'm Heather Gardner.